Youth Revolution instruction on how to fill out the goal sheets. One of the things that we want to make clear to your kids when they're doing each unit is they need to make a goal first, get it approved, accomplish it, and then get it passed off. The reason we want to do it this way is because a lot of kids have a tendency to say, oh, well, I didn't really set a physical fitness goal, but I did accomplish all these physical things this month, and if I tell my teacher I do that, I'll get an award. And so that's what they do. What we're trying to accomplish by not allowing that is to teach kids a culture of setting goals, learning how to make their goals strong and realistic, and accomplishing them instead of shooting off the seat of their pants. So, this is what we're doing. So this is the Youth Revolution manual that I'm showing here, and you can see or get your own at home. The first section is brainstorming ideas. We have that there mostly for the younger kids. Sometimes you get older kids that don't understand principles of goal setting very well as well. But this doesn't have to take a long time. Brainstorming ideas. Okay, we're going to do crafts. What would I like to do for crafts? Well, I'm kind of interested in soap making. I'm kind of interested in candlestick making. My friend wants to do the chainmail thing, but I'm kind of scared about that. And I've got another friend who wants to do Belgarth. That sounds like a lot of fun, but I don't know if my dad will let me fight. So they write down each of those things, and they all have some issue that you know, soap making just doesn't sound as fun as a Belgarth, but maybe that's what they could get away with, and their dad would support them or something. You know, so every kid's going to be different, so they just write down brainstorming ideas. The second thing is to decide what they want to do with their goal. Now, we want the kids to learn, not just to say, my goal is to make soap. We want the kids to understand you don't make a goal like that and accomplish it a lot in life. You have to write down, I want to make 2 bars of soap, and I want it to be lavender flavored, or whatever flavored, is that the scented? Whatever it is, you want them to have a specific goal that they can take to any of their teachers later, show I made 2 lavender scented bars of soap, that's what my thing is, and have somebody pass it off for them. We don't want them to do vague goals like, I'm going to get better at gymnastics, or I'm going to practice dancing. That's a nice goal, and maybe that's good for an 8-year-old, but still we want it to be more narrow. We want to say, I'm going to practice gymnastics 15 minutes a day, at least 3 times a week. If they do more, great. If they do less, well, that's not so great. But we want them to be specific, and you, as teacher, need to help them do that. Ideally, their parents are coming to the meeting with them. Ideally, the parents have their own book. Ideally, the parents are writing down their goals on the book. Ideally, the parents are sharing that with their kids and are helping the kids write the goals themselves. But if not, you, as teacher or mentor or host, will be helping the kids by passing off their goals, probably your first small group meeting, so that they can work on it the rest of the week. The next one says, my challenge. This one, my challenge section, is not in the Junior Revolution book. We took out some of the more finesse-filled ideas for goal setting and got them out of the Junior Revolution because those kids are not going to want to spend the time and try and figure out what it means, and it's a little bit too sophisticated for some of the age groups. You don't want to sit down and say to your 8-year-old, what's going to be your challenge of accomplishing your goal? They're going to be like, I'm just going to achieve it. Don't discourage me. And so we took that out, and that's not necessary for a smaller age group. But for an older kid, if you say, okay, what's my goal? I want to find a mentor to teach me how to be a better coder because I want to get into hacking and hacking defense in computer programming. Okay, so what's your challenge going to be? I don't know anybody who does that. That's important for them to identify and think about. So saying, yeah, that's my goal, that's what I'm going to do. They need to identify that challenge and say, okay, what are some resources that we as teachers can point you to or direct you to? You don't have to solve the problem for them as a teacher. You just have to show them how to find the resources. So you say, you know what? Why don't you go to UVU and go to the department of computer coding or whatever it is. I don't know exactly what their department might be there. So you go to that department and ask if somebody would be willing to give you some recommendations as to who you might talk to. One of the students maybe who's going into that field and could point you to some YouTube resources, or who could point you to an individual that you can talk with and learn. Okay, my plan to accomplish this goal. Again, some of this is not in the Junior Revolution. We've simplified it sometimes goals take 2 or 3 steps to accomplish, and it's important for kids to recognize that. If they're a good goal setter already, it's obvious. Well, what am I going to need for this goal? Well, I need to find somebody who can teach me how to do that, and then I need to have them help me find resources on what I can do to learn it. Maybe I need to take a course. Maybe I can just look it up on YouTube. There may be 3 or 4 different stages to accomplish the goal before they can actually learn what they're trying to learn or hoping to accomplish. So that's what that section is for, and I explained that very poorly, so I apologize for that. The next one says revised goal, and that's for the very predictable situation of some kids sets a goal, shoots a little bit to the stars, and doesn't accomplish it. Ideally, the parent or the mentor is going to sit down with them and say, you know, Johnny, it's really not very realistic for you to do 1,000 push-ups in a day. Even if you do a whole bunch of them all month long, to do 1,000 a day is going to require a lot more strength than you have at 9 years old. So, Johnny, maybe you should have a smaller goal. Ideally, you would be helping them with that. Sometimes kids shoot beyond the mark anyways, and you think, maybe that's realistic, but once you know the kid better, you think, I could have easily spotted that if I was their parent last month. So sometimes you're not going to spot in time that kid sets a goal that's maybe too high, but you look at it, say, you know, I think this is reasonable to get an award for this, but they shot a little bit too high for their age group, or maybe they've got a bit of a handicap, or they're just a little bit slow, or maybe their brother died, or who knows. So they revised the goal. That's what that's there for. And again, the mentor or teacher or parent can approve that. And then there's this terrible little awful piece of writing that says, I will finish my goal by, and it has a date on it. Now, if it's okay if a kid accomplishes their goal late, they can still get it passed off. But we want them to be thinking in terms of time limits, especially in terms of their spiritual goals, that may be 3 months of reading scriptures or something like that. We want them to be committed. It doesn't say, I will finish. It says, I commit. We want them to be committed to finishing their goal by a certain date. If they don't have a date, most people will fail to finish their goal. That's why New Year's resolutions don't work. What's my New Year's resolution? This year, sometime, I am going to accomplish XYZ, but they don't have follow-up, and they don't look at their goal in July to see what it was that they set. They don't keep up with it, they forget. The commitment to finish is too far away. Unless you're a really good goal setter and you spend a lot of your time making and setting goals, you're not going to accomplish it. So the kids need to learn that as well. That said, that's more there as kind of a guide to strengthen them and help them with it. It's not meant to be a bar to them getting an award. That's just there to help them. Okay, so the next section is battle analysis. Battle analysis comes from the United States Army, and it's used in the Eternal Warriors program and other programs. Nobody has been able to master this like the United States Army, and there's a reason. I'll get into that in a minute. But the simple version of what they do is simply this. What happened? Well, I set a goal that I was going to carve a lightsaber. Then you say, what went well? Well, I found really cool wood, and I bought it, and I started carving. That went really well. What could have been improved? Well, it would have been improved if I would have finished it. But it turned out I bought a really hard wood, and even though the parts I've done are really beautiful and intricate, I couldn't finish because it's too hard of wood and it takes too long. Okay, that's what a standard battle analysis might look like. It doesn't have to be complicated, although it could be very sophisticated and complicated. That's not what we're looking for. What we want is for the kids to look at their goals and to learn from setting their goals. If you set a goal that I want to carve a lightsaber, and then you don't accomplish it, and nobody sits down with you and says, what went well? What could you have done better? Then you just feel like you failed. That's not a good result. The whole purpose of battle analysis is to prevent future failure and to recreate success. So the U.S. Army does this. They make a habit of it. That's why they're better than any other organization that's copied them, because they make it a habit. Everything they do, they battle analyze. So for instance, they go and they do a short little real mock battle, and they fight each other, and then when they're done, they say, what happened? You're just looking for facts. Well, so-and-so shot so-and-so, our plane got shot down. That's when things really went badly. Okay, so those are the facts. We lost 13 out of 25 troops, and the rest got captured. That's what happened. No emotion, no critique, no detail that's really unnecessary. Gist of it. Then you say, what went well? This is an important step a lot of people will skip. It's important though, because if you say what went well, you might not think about it because you might just be in the mode to critique. But if you say what went well, you look at it and you identify what actually happened that was a success. Sometimes when you think about these and you brainstorm these and do battle analysis, you will find something that went well that you were not expecting and thinking about. And if you notice something that you were not expecting or thinking about, you can make a note of it and recreate it in future units. So that's an important step. A lot of people skip it. What could have been improved? That's the critique section. You could say what stunk, what did you do bad, that sort of thing. But we want to say what could be improved so it's less critical. But we want the kids to think what could have gone better. What could you have improved? This is important in goal setting. A lot of kids set goals and don't accomplish them and quit setting goals. So in order to get them to accomplish their goals, if they're not accomplishing them, you have to ask, why didn't you do well on your goals? Well, I set this really gargantuan goal and it was impossible. Nobody told me and I stink at setting goals, so I'm going to quit. I'm not going to make goals anymore. That's a common reaction for kids that don't have good guidance. So, but if you talk to them and say, what could have been improved? Well, you should have started off with balsa wood. You could have started off with a really soft wood and made your lightsaber. Granted, you couldn't have used it for real, but if you could have accomplished that level of achievement and finished, felt good about it, felt like you really did something awesome, and then the next time you do it with a harder wood. That's what could have been improved. Then the kid feels like empowered. Oh, I didn't know there was a balsa wood. I was using whatever, I don't know woods very well. But
Chocobolo?
I was using a super hard wood. I was using bamboo, and that it just would have been better to have something soft. Now they feel empowered, like maybe I can do this time. Instead of saying, I don't want to try again because I failed, say, I think I could do it if I had softer wood. So that's what that's there for. Okay, so here's the final thing. In your goal section, it says tried, right here, it says tried, award, and excelled. So they all have checks on them, but they're in gray, and the reason they're in gray is so that they can circle them or check them darker so that it's marked off. This probably would be best for them to circle it, but notice there's a mentor signature required. That could be the host, the teacher, or the mentor of the class, or it could be a parent or some adult that's responsible. Anybody can sign off on it. We really don't care who signs off on it so much as that it's somebody that can objectively look and say, yes, you wrote down that you were going to do 2 bars of lavender scented soap. You hand them to me. I can tell they're homemade, and plus you carved your name in them. That makes it even more obvious. I will sign off on it. So that should be a fairly simple thing to do. Now, why are the 3 versions of this tried, award, and excelled? If they accomplish their goal, smack on, exactly what they expected, you circle award, that's it. When they go to the combined meeting, they'll receive an award for crafts, for soap making. But you may have a situation where a kid, they made a goal, and it was a reasonable goal, but they didn't quite make it. They wanted to carve a lightsaber, for instance, out of balsa wood, and they got 90% done, but they just, it's obvious that they really didn't finish part of it because the block of wood is still square, and they haven't carved off the sections or finished it. But they did a good attempt. It's worth some acknowledgement of effort. This is a flexible thing for you as a teacher to check off, so you give them a tried. There's a reason for that. It can actually count towards an award later, so you want to put tried. Let's say, as a different example, you have somebody that excelled. Okay, so I had a daughter, and she made a cooking goal, and I don't remember precisely what her cooking goal was, but she went crazy. Instead of just doing her goal, she did all sorts of extra stuff, and she's making some extra desserts, and she's doing extra meals, and she's just doing a really good job. She sets the table instead of just making the meal, and she does this for like a month instead of 3 weeks or whatever. So you look at it, and here's an 8-year-old girl who, instead of making 1 meal a week, is making 5 meals a week. And then she's making desserts, and she's making snacks, and she's setting the table. She does all these extra things for her Provide and Care award. Okay, so she accomplished more than she set out to do. We want to award her with something extra, so we give her an excelled mark. Okay, so why does that matter? It matters for 2 reasons. The first reason is because we give them an extra Youth Revolution dollar. So that's a quick, immediate award for doing something. And I haven't explained the Youth Revolution dollars, but I will briefly after I finish this. So the first one is to get that immediate reward, that immediate pat on the back that says, good job. When they go in combined meeting, the person giving the award should say, notice this person didn't just get the award, they excelled, they did a really good job. Maybe they even take a quick second or two to say, you know, she set her goal to do 3 meals a week for 3 weeks. Instead, she did 6 meals a week for a month. And her family said she just did a really good job and the food was really good and she only burned it once. So, you know, extra award for, you know, an excelled award for this student. That's the immediate award. The second thing, though, is when you go in the Youth Revolution Manual, it talks about the different awards. Under the how it works, it talks about setting your goals and some of the awards. There are different awards that get different things, different awards that have different requirements. For instance, a rank advancement award is earned by achieving all of the spiritual awards and 10 of the remaining 12 awards. So if you didn't achieve 10 of the remaining 12 awards, you can still get a rank achievement award. For example, if you get 8 awards, and out of those 8, 2 of them were excelled marks, and then you receive 2 more tried marks out of the remaining unit, the 2 excelled make up for the 2 tried. So each excelled boosts a tried up to an award. So if you have 3 excelled, that can make 3 trieds boost up to an award. At some point, mathematics don't work out. You can't have 15 trieds and 15 excels because you only have 12 units. And you have to have so much that's accomplished. But that's the general principle. So it's still worth it to mark down that you tried on something even if you didn't achieve it, because if you got an excelled in something else, then you can make those match. The reason we did that is we had too many kids in a similar program not achieving their rank advancement. They didn't achieve the whole year award. And it was usually over some small thing, and people are having heartburn because they're like, man, she just really did a good job this year on her program, but she didn't quite achieve it, so she didn't get it, and she feels sad that everybody else gets this huge end-of-the-year award. She doesn't, and it's over something relatively trivial. So we want to have some flexibility built in the program where we could say, you know, she really shined in this area. She didn't shine so much at this area. That's normal. You have strengths. You have weaknesses. So does everybody else. So let's balance those out. And as long as at the end of the year we look at it and everything looks like they really tried hard and they did a good job and they made a significant effort, they can get their rank advancement. That's why those rules are in place. Okay, soaring high awards. So if you get an excelled mark in every unit of a category, then you get a soaring high award. So for instance, if you want to get a soaring high award in talents, or the talent awards, you need to get an excelled in handcrafts, art and creating, unveiling your talents, and forever learning, which I skipped when I described earlier. Sorry. That's okay. You can figure that out. Read it in the handbook. So if you get an excelled in each one of those categories, then you get an extra award at the end of the year to acknowledge, wow, this kid just really does well when it comes to talents or the power awards or whatever. And so they get an extra award called a soaring high award. Also, those awards are available by nomination. So if you as a teacher see a kid that maybe got 4 excelled out of 5 categories, but they really went beyond the mark and they really did some amazing things, you can nominate them for an award, and then your board of directors or whoever's in charge of the program can determine whether or not to give them that soaring high award. Mentor awards also require that you get 4 excelled marks in service, and obviously that's over 4 or 5 years or something, and at least one of your service and compassion awards must also include a mentor experience. So that requires an excelled award. The last award is the OWL Leadership Award, and that's a culmination of at least 4 years of rank advancements, including no more than 1 Junior Revolution rank advancement, plus some extraordinary project that will be approved by the Youth Revolution leadership. And plus they need 2 excelled marks in repeating greatness and or leading and inspiring awards, because this is a leadership award. It's called the OWL Leadership Award. So this is intended to be something like an Eagle Scout award. However, we wanted it to be a little bit more focused on leadership. That's why there needs to be the excelled in some of those awards. And then, you know, the projects that can be included in that are probably very similar in some ways to a Scout award, but we wanted them to be a little bit more broad as well. maybe allowing for things that Eagle projects might not allow because it's not technically a project, it's a service, like a service mission, or creating instructional videos on YouTube to teach skills taught in Youth Revolution, or specifically maybe leadership skills. Any number of those types of things can be included. Okay, so that's it for goal setting and
Analysis.
battle analysis, yeah.